I'll start with the Mangalacharan, Prabhuji. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopika
Kanta
Kanta
Radha
Radha
Namaste
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe
Radhe Vrindavan Ishwari
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanu
Vrishabhanu Sute Devi
Devi
Pranamami
Pranamami Hari Priye
Hare Vanchakalpatarubhasya
Jakalpa Charuprascha
Kripa
Kripa
Sindhu
Sindhu Vaivata
Bhaivacha Patitanam
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Hare Krishna
Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhar
Radha
Srivasadi
Srivasari Gaur
Bhakta-vrinda.
Bhakta
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for making yourself available. Please accept our Dandavat Pranam from all devotees who have joined and are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 7, which is the scheduled incarnation. And today we are on text 8, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, would you like us to read the Sanskrit translation and then hand over to you?
Please.
Okay. So, Canto 2, Chapter 7, text 8. Vidha sampatani udita patirbhir atiranjno balopi san upagatas tapassevanani tasma adat dhruva gati prasanno divyastu vanti
Munayo
hare udasa.
Yadipardastad.
Vidha, pinched by.
By.
Saptani, a
A
co-wife.
co-wife.
Dita, uttered by.
Uttered by.
Tepri, by sharp words.
Sharp words.
Anti, just before.
Just before.
Rajna,
Raja,
of
the king.
Bala,
Bala,
a boy.
a boy.
Api, although. San, being so. Upagata, took to. Tapasse, severe penances. Vanani,
in a great forest. Tasmai, therefore.
Adat,
gave as a reward.
Dhruvat Gatim,
a path to the Dhruva planet.
Granite, on being prayed for. Prasanna, being satisfied. Divya, denizens of the higher planets. Stuvanti, do pray. Munaya, great sages. Yat, thereupon. Upari, up. Adas, path down. Translation. Being insulted by the sharp words spoken by the co-wives of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest. And the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages, both upward and downward. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, over to you.
All right, I'll read part of the purport and we can shift it to someone else. When he was only 5 years old, Prince Dhruva, a great devotee and the son of Maharaj Uttanapad, was sitting on the lap of his father. His stepmother did not like the king's patting her stepson, so she dragged him out, saying that he could not claim to sit on the lap of the king because he was not born of her womb. The little boy felt insulted by this act of his stepmother, nor did his father make any protest, for he was too attached to his second wife. After this incident, Prince Dhruva went to his own mother and complained. His real mother also could not take any step against this insulting behavior, and so she wept. The boy inquired from his mother how he could sit on the royal throne of his father, and the poor queen replied that only the Lord could help him. The boy inquired where the Lord could be seen, and the queen replied that it is said that the Lord is sometimes seen by great sages in the dense forest. The child prince decided to go into the forest to perform severe penances in order to achieve his objective. Prince Dhruva performed a stringent type of penance under the instruction of his spiritual master Sri Narad Muni, who was specifically deputed for this purpose by the personality of Godhead. Prince Dhruva was initiated by Narad into chanting the hymn composed of 12 syllables, namely Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Lord Vasudeva incarnated himself as Prishnagarbha, the personality of Godhead with 4 hands, and awarded the prince a specific planet above the 7 stars. Prince Dhruva, after achieving success in his undertakings, saw the Lord face to face, and he was satisfied that all his needs were fulfilled. So someone else can continue.
The planet awarded to Prince Dhruva Maharaj is the fixed Vaikuntha planet, installed in the material atmosphere by the will of the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva. This planet, although within the material world, will not be annihilated at the time of devastation, but will remain fixed in its place. And because it is a Vaikuntha planet, never to be annihilated, it is worshipped even by denizens of the 7 stars situated below the Dhruva planet, as well as by the planet which are even above the Dhruva planet. Maharishi Bhrigu's planets is situated above the Dhruva planet. So the Lord incarnated himself as Prishnagarbha just to satisfy a pure devotee of the Lord. And Prince Dhruva achieved this perfection simply by chanting the hymn mentioned above, after being initiated by another pure devotee, Narada. A serious personality can thus achieve the highest perfection of the meeting of the Lord and attain his objectives simply by being guided by the pure devotee, who automatically approaches by dint of one's serious determination to meet the Lord by all means. The description of Prince Dhruva's activities can be read in detail in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. All glories to our ISKCON founder, Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. So continuing our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, today's text is 8. And the verse again, being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest, and the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages, both upward and downward. So Srila Prabhupada concludes this purport saying that Prince Dhruva achieved his perfection simply by chanting the hymn mentioned above, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, after being initiated by another pure devotee. A serious personality can thus achieve the highest perfection of meeting the Lord simply by being guided by a pure devotee, who automatically approaches by dint of one's serious determination to meet the Lord by all means. So this is our process, the standard process of yoga, the usual process of attaining advancement in anything is approaching a teacher who can teach us how to do it. And Prince Dhruva is a interesting and special example because he is only 5 years old, a child, and he gives us, isn't it? He gives us inspiration of courage, bravery. He was very brave, a 5-year-old boy leaving the house and going into the woods to search out God. That is remarkable. So he is very courageous. He was the son of uh, King Uttanapada, a Kshatriya, and Dhruva Maharaj also had this nature of strong passion, a lot of energy. It's hard to get things done in this world without energy. And the Kshatriyas, or those of Kshatriya mode, means, as we know, they are especially surcharged with Rajaguna, the mode of passion. We can think of the sun. Often rulers are associated with the sun, uh, so powerful. And so genuine uh, administrators and brave men and women uh, have a lot of energy, above average energy and power. So Dhruva Maharaj, he was born into such a family, and uh, the story here, as described, is that his father had a number of wives, and uh, he was the son not of his favorite wife, but and this one, who was his favorite, I think it was Suniti and Suruchi, and I believe it was Suruchi who was here, uh, his stepmother, saying that, "What are you doing on the lap of the king? Uh, my son is the real son of the king, not you, and you don't deserve to be sitting there," which was very insulting. They're both wives, they're both mothers, but she was saying like this. And it's described that the father, because of being too attached to the second wife, didn't say anything. Um, when we have some relationship with someone, a friend or uh, a husband or wife, um, or a fellow employee, anyone, uh, even though they may do something wrong and we should really say something because we don't want to break the relationship, possibly. Sometimes we don't say something, isn't it? Um, Especially between man and woman, woman and man. The tendency is to be very careful not to say something or do something that would break the relationship, um, which can be not the right thing. Really, the king should have stood up for his son and said, "Stop that. Dhruva is my son. He has every right to sit in my lap." But he didn't want her to be mad at him, so he didn't say anything. So then Dhruva complained to his mother and his blood mother, uh, who advised him that she couldn't do anything, but perhaps the Lord could help him. And he asked, well, where can I find the Lord, God? And she said, the Lord is sometimes seen by great sages in the dense forest. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that this whole narrative, the whole story of Dhruva is in the fourth canto, which we will get to eventually. There's no harm if we want to go ahead and read the narrative. Um, there's many benedictions offered to one who studies that narrative. So here, Srila Prabhupada writes, Prince Dhruva performed a stringent type of penance under the instruction of his spiritual master Sri Narada Muni, who was specifically deputed for the purpose. And Srila Prabhupada mentions at the end that the spiritual master automatically approaches one, um, depending on our serious determination to meet Krishna. We all so the understanding is that if we truly want Krishna, then we will get the opportunity. And if we want to be cheated, if we're not really looking for Krishna, then we will get some other teacher, some other kind of guru. So Dhruva Maharaj was serious, and Krishna in the heart, Sarvasataham Vritti Sanivasta, Mata Smiter Gyanam Apahonam Cha, as super soul, Shirodakshai Vishnu, he was well aware of Dhruva's intention and arranged that when on the way to the forest, Dhruva bumped into Narada Muni, who asked him, "What are you doing? You're just a little boy. You should be home in bed. I should be at home with your mother." And he said, "No, I'm going to the woods to meet Lord Narayan." Well, why? Well, why do you want to do that? So, well, I want to get a kingdom that's greater than my father, greater than my grandfather. I want to have the best, biggest kingdom of all. So uh, Narada Muni was very impressed by his determination and gave him the instruction that, yes, you chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya to please Lord Vishnu. You perform bhakti by saying this, offering this prayer to him. And when we hear the narrative, Dhruva Maharaj also performed severe austerities, hardly eating and standing on one leg as an offering of sacrifice, that I'm not interested in any kind of temporary pleasures until and unless you answer my prayer. Just like sometimes a child will say, well, I'm not going to eat, until you give me this. So um, it can have some effect. Um, so when Krishna understands that we are willing to give up something to um, to show our seriousness, of course, he responds um, that just like we have these four regulative principles. What we are on the path back to Godhead. So that's a very serious goal. And they say that talk is cheap, right? Anyone can say anything. Anyone can say, I want to go back to Krishna. But whether the person is serious or not, we have to, what is it called? Put your money where your mouth is. And you say you love me, but you never buy me anything. You never spend anything you never sacrifice. So where is your love? Uh, So these regulative principles, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating, only eating the vegetarian food which is offered to Krishna, and the prescribed chanting. This is showing, this is putting our money where our mouth is. That yes, I do want to go back to Godhead, and I am showing. I mean, one aspect of following sadhana is to show Krishna that our seriousness, our commitment. I am serious. I am willing to put aside these things to attain you. So it's very important. So that the chanting actually of mantras becomes powerful when there is some austerity with it. Just like chanting Hare Krishna, there's always benefit. If we can train a parrot to chant, the parrot will get benefit. But even more benefit if we understand the purpose and the meaning, uh, and also that we perform, that we're pure in our spirituality. So we can chant Hare Krishna and as human beings and make a lot of advancement. But as we um, live simply and avoid the four sinful activities, this is a very significant offering to Krishna. It's very significant. Krishna does not take it cheaply because from time to time, we are tempted to break these principles. Uh, and it is a sacrifice. Krishna sees, oh, you could have done this thing, but you didn't because you want me. So that's love, isn't it? It's love. Same thing, husband and wife. There are temptations to have relationships, or what do they call it? To flirt with the opposite sex. And certainly our spouse would be very happy with us, would see our love, knowing that we were not allowing ourselves to get involved, even though the opportunity is there, because it's love that proves our commitment to the relationship. So these regulative principles that we follow, that Dhruva followed, there's a number of perspectives. There's a number of reasons that they are valuable. The one that we just discussed, that they are an offering of sacrifice to Krishna. And then, of course, you might say from a mechanical kind of perspective, they help our ability. They give us greater ability to um, move forward towards Krishna. Following these regulative principles, forget about spirituality. They'll help even anyone to be more successful materially. With a sharper, clearer brain and ability to focus and concentrate, and uh, which those things enable us to be successful and more successful in whatever we do. If our brain is all cloudy and foggy and scattered and unfocused, we can't be very successful at anything. So the spiritual sadhana, it tightens up. It makes um, more sharper um, our both our physical and our mental abilities, which helps us tremendously, can help us. So Dhruva Maharaj, he followed a very severe regulative principle, as I discussed. Uh, he was only eating leaves. I couldn't do that. Just eating a handful of leaves every other day, and then only drinking water. So that's very, very severe. So therefore, it is said that in Kali Yuga, uh, that there is only one method of sacrifice recommended in this age of Kali. What is that? Harinama, Harinama, Hariname Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva Nasteva Gatir Anyata. That this is our sacrifice. That we sacrifice time, we sacrifice our attention, we sacrifice the television and the radio and the video and the computer, and we turn them off and we chant. So it's a sacrifice. We could do those things, uh, but we decide not uh, to help us um, so we can become more Krishna conscious because we care about Krishna, because we have some love for Krishna, some care for Krishna. So very powerful sacrifice. It motivates, doesn't it? It motivates. So Dhruva Maharaj, he's such a wonderful example. He's only 5 years old and showing this fixed determination, going to the forest and practicing austerities, uh, following the order of his spiritual master. In the purports to the narrative, Srila Prabhupada uh, points out that this is the way of making advancement, that we must follow the orders of our spiritual master strictly and steadily. And this will bring us um, Krishna realization and gradually Krishna prema. Now, it may be noted, maybe some of us are noticing that, of course, at the moment, Dhruva Maharaj is not, he's not practicing sadhana. He did not go to Narada Muni and say, I want to develop Krishna prema. Please help me to swim in the ocean of love of Krishna. He is not. Uh, his purpose is to attain a kingdom, a very unique, best kingdom, and to be the ruler. So this is, of course, a material desire, something related to this material world. And Srila Prabhupada gives a little hint in the purport, which is discussed much more in the narrative, where he says, um, where is that? Uh, Prince Dhruva, after achieving success in his undertaking, saw the Lord face to face, and he was satisfied that all his needs were fulfilled. So the short story is that ultimately, when he had Krishna realization, when he saw Lord Vishnu, very famous Vaishnava prayer, where Dhruva Maharaj says that I'm such a foolish person. I was looking for broken pieces of glass, really, and attaining you is like attaining a great gem. And this was his realization, and he felt completely fulfilled, with or without the kingdom, because there's nothing that can satisfy us except the revival of our love of Krishna. Just as a fish can never be happy unless the fish is back in the water, it is just impossible. Uh, so Dhruva Maharaj, he had that realization, and he felt completely satisfied. Uh, and uh, a little further, nevertheless, uh, as it's described here by Srila Prabhupada, uh, Lord Vishnu granted him rule of this, after his ruling the kingdom of his father, he attained a whole planet. You can't imagine that. Lord Vishnu gave him this planet, which is a Vaikuntha planet, an eternal planet, a planet that's never destroyed. Um, because even though you might say intellectually or philosophically or theoretically, no, I mean, he felt it, but he felt, oh, I'm so satisfied just having you. He really did have strong desires to have this kingdom. And so he wasn't quite ready to go back to the spiritual world. And this is our position to one degree or the other, is we have, I have, we have, uh, we appreciate, but I know myself, I can't say I'm completely mature. Just like you, I think there's mangoes in, of course, there's mangoes in Africa. So, mangoes or any kind of fruit, they're unripe and hard, and then they get a little ripe, more ripe, 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 and then mature. So we are, Srila Prabhupada describes that we are devotees, but we are not, most likely, we are not fully ripe devotees. Um, we are ripening, which can be sometimes frustrating, isn't it? That we have this understanding, and we do appreciate to one degree or the other, but at the same time, there's part of us which is not on the same page. And it is sometimes frustrating and a challenge. So just like Dhruva Maharaj, Lord Vishnu knew that really uh, he had to live his desires out. And so, which is very interesting, is that he knew better, Lord Vishnu. And sometimes we think that I can do without this, I can do without that, I don't need to do that. But really, we do. We may not know how much we really uh, may need to live through. Uh, Having a job and trying to accumulate money, being married, having a relationship. We may think theoretically, oh, that's not for me. No, I'm a spiritual being. I should not be involved in that. No, of course we should not be involved in that. It's such an odd thing that we can have this theoretical understanding, but at the same time, we actually do need to go through it. Yeah. And so therefore, Lord Krishna describes this in the one place is in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, a very important chapter. That chapter where he says that, what is that? Falgo Vairagya Uchate. He says to Arjuna that that to pretend it will not help you. And so we have to find a balance between pretending, and trying to pretend that we're more advanced than we are, uh, and uh, just honestly trying to control our senses and control our desires. Uh, so, what do I mean by that? What do we mean by that? Uh, so, so we all have different desires, different thoughts, and they come and they go. But if these desires and thoughts are always, not always, but are there week after week, month after month, and we're just trying to ignore them and pretend that they're not there, um, that may be an instance of fooling ourselves, pretending to be someone that we're not. I know of one example, uh, long time ago. So I was living in one temple. So there was one god sister who was her husband had left her. She had married before she became a devotee, and her husband left, and she was a single mother with a child, and she was living in the temple. And I spoke to her occasionally, and she really wanted to have her own place, her own flat, and come to the temple and do service. And she wanted that. She felt it would be happier for her. But then there was the other side of her that was thinking that, no, this is nonsense. Why would I want to move out of the temple? I shouldn't do that. I should just be a pure devotee and I should not ask Krishna to help me. And I remember she even asked in class, she asked, she said, how did she put it? She said, is it all right to pray to Krishna for fulfilling our needs? Because the gopis don't do that. So I remember shortly after that, she found a way somehow to get a flat outside. And let me step back and say that this Mataji, nice woman, nice person, but she was always irritable. It was hard for other devotees to talk to her. She was just not happy, miserable. And so she got her own flat and she became a changed person. She was really pleasant and happy because she got her real desire fulfilled. And she told me that I prayed to Krishna that somehow please help me. So that's the right thing to do. Not that we go on pretending and meanwhile we're just miserable and we're not really happy to serve Krishna. So it may seem like a step back, and it is, but that's where we're at. We can't let our pride, oh, people will think I'm in Maya. All right, well, I'm in Maya, but I'm in Maya. People think I'm in Maya, and I really make progress than trying to fool myself. You see, this is a very common thing in all religions. It's not just this Krishna bhakti. Pride, not only pride, but misunderstanding our position. And it can be because we're social creatures, isn't it? I mean, let's all put our cards on the table. It can be difficult if you're living in a temple or you're living in a close temple community and everyone knows you and you know everyone else. And people are looking and seeing what you're doing, what you're not doing. There's a tendency, a human tendency, so to speak, to keep the right face, wear the right clothes, and be at the right time at the right place, to put on a show. So we have to try, we have to strive, pray to Krishna to have the strength um, to avoid that. If it hurts our spiritual life, it may sound ridiculous. I mean, this may sound really funny. It's true. I tell you, it's true. Uh, there was one brahmachari, one single man, I remember, and in the brahmachari ashram. So someone said, "Are you going to get married?" He said, "No, people will think I'm in Maya." So we we don't want to live our life like that. What will people think? What will Krishna think? What will my spiritual master think? What will be the best thing for me? Uh, I'm not going to wear this jewelry. I'm not going to wear this dress. People will think I'm luxuriating myself. Well, if you need to do that, then do that. I mean, we're speaking very specifically here, or whatever it may be. So Krishna advises in the third chapter that we live where we are and we make progress from there, whatever it may be. If we are at peace and we're living in the temple and we're single, brahmacharini, and we're happy doing that, wonderful. I mean, that's ideal. And if we need to live in a different way, then that's what we need to do, uh, like that. If someone sees me eating another biscuit, what will they think? I don't know. But if I'm going to be miserable not eating the biscuit, then I should have another one and a third one because that's what I need. Or none. No, thank you. I don't want any. Thank you. Oh, why not? I just feel better right now not having that. Thank you. Having the inner strength to uh, do what is best for our Krishna consciousness. And it can be difficult, We have friends and we have family, but we do the best we can. Does anyone have any questions or comments up to this point?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry for switching my video off. I think our internet is not supporting my video on. So that's why I've switched it off. So Prabhuji, when you mentioned about this ripened fruit, so we are not yet ripe, we are still raw or we are ripening. Why are we holding back? Why are we holding back, Prabhuji? Why? There must be a reason.
Well, Lord Krishna gives us some information. I think it's the last or one of the last verses of the seventh chapter. Krishna says, "What is yesham twantikatam papam janmanam punya karmanam te dvanva moha nirmukta bhajanti mam drita vrata." So I think you know drita vrata. It means following a vow with determination. So I think this very much addresses that question, where Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that only one who has become freed from past sinful reactions, who is freed from the duality of delusion, who is always engaged in pious activities, only that person can bhajanti mam, can worship me, Vritavrata. So we have to work through our past minimized sinful reactions, which specifically, practically, means the bent of our thinking patterns. We have thinking patterns and we have desires uh, according to our past activities, which are what they are, and it takes time for them to become unbent or melted away. Cheto darpana marjanam, for the sinful reactions, for the material conditioning to become reduced, even if we want to. I mean, theoretically, we could manifest ourselves in 100% purity. It's possible. Um, but the general rule is that it's a gradual washing away of the material contamination, weakening. What's that other verse in Bhagavad Gita? Vasudevam Savamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. What is that verse? That Bahunam Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanamam Prapadyate Vasudevam Savamiti. That Lord Krishna says again, I think it's in the seventh chapter, that only after a long time can one realize me as the ultimate goal, um, Vasudevam Savamiti. So I've heard a couple of lectures about that. And in those lectures, Srila Prabhupada doesn't discuss, uh, like very deep philosophy, but he says we have to become genuinely finished with material life. Because each of us, to some degree, I mean, it is already known until we reach the stage of Krishna Prema, there is some microscopic uh, contamination. So we already know that we all have some. It's not a mystery. Uh, and because of that, uh, we don't surrender. Just have to be patient with ourselves and stay in the shower. Keep washing, 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 washing. You have a piece of coal with a diamond inside. You have to just wash and wash and wash. It's just the way it is. And gradually we become cleaner, we become riper and riper, as long as we don't go backwards, right? The example of the elephant, which is maybe a good example. Maybe some of you have seen the elephant that bathes, goes into the pond or the river, and then comes out and rolls on the ground, or some other animal. They roll on the ground and get covered with dust again. So that's what happens when we break the regular principles or don't follow other parts of the process. You're just rolling in the dust again, and more washing, more washing. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. I think determination is the key here. And that's
Yeah,
why
and so
you
but
have,
then so then how to remain. So then a $64 million question is, so valuable question is, or what the answer is, how do we remain enthused and determined? If that's two of the main things we need to be successful is determination and enthusiasm, then how do we get them? Or how do we keep them? Some ideas? Has anyone heard anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Personally, I find for myself that association really helps me. It keeps me, reminds me, keeps me reading, chanting. I can't forget because it's every day we are told in all these different Zoom sanghas about this. So
Yes.
if we get the knowledge, so it's practicing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah. There is one verse, I'm not sure I can remember all of it. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Hoy, Lava Matra, uh, Sarva City Hoy. Yeah. That Bengali, that 1/11th Lava Matra, 1/11th of a second's association with the pure devotee can give one the highest benefit. Because as you say, we hear about Krishna and how valuable to be with someone who is on the same path, especially someone who might be more enthusiastic or we know has deeper realization. Isn't that so exciting and certainly helpful, isn't it? You know, you say association with devotees. Um, so Srila Prabhupada describes like this, isn't it? They're just like there's business societies, isn't it? Different types of business. They get together, they have annual meetings, especially sales, right? Sales, people who sell anything, they sell jewelry, they sell cars, they sell insurance, especially insurance. They have these meetings where they get together and they get re-enthused and they hear stories about how someone sold so much of whatever and how they did it. Oh, how did you do that? And so it is. Srila Prabhupada explains that on the path of bhakti, association is mystical. When we associate with someone who's more advanced than ourselves, especially pure devotees of Krishna, there is a mystical stimulation of our soul. So powerful. And I think not that I think, I know you are 200% correct. Is so much advice given about keeping the association of devotees, which means associating with people who are talking about the value of a Krishna and the value of everything connected to Krishna. So that's very good. So association with devotees, absolutely. Where would we be? Where would we be if we had to spend, if we were in a prison and we could not have books or Srimad Bhagavatam classes? Where would we be? It'd be very hard, right? What else? What else helps us to keep enthusiasm and determination? Has someone heard a lecture or something, read something? What I'm thinking of is Srila Prabhupada describes that following these regular principles will give us strength. They'll help us become uh, more fixed in sattva guna and maintain sattva guna. That's what we were talking about, the regulative principles. Uh, that they empower us. They give us shakti. Following the process of bhakti will give us enthusiasm. It'll give us strength, and then also we'll get realizations which encourage us? Does anyone want to share an experience about that? About how following the regular principles is empowering or getting realizations that encouraged us to continue?
Prabhuji, I could say something.
What's that?
Prabhuji, I could give an example.
Okay.
It's not a very strong example, but it is something. Because I used to always hear, in the talks that once you start chanting or doing, following the regulative principles, you will start experiencing Krishna. And of course, I've given up meat. I don't always chant, but at least I try and chant one round a day. And I try and remember Krishna. I try to offer everything to Krishna, even though understanding the concept of offering to Krishna, everything we do is still very difficult for me. For example, going to work so for everything, if someone was thanking me, I would just say in my head that it is actually Krishna who's doing it. Or if small things happen, for example, if I forgotten the clothes outside on the line, somehow the dog will do something silly and I will be pulled into the garden, even though it may be very late at night. And I'll say, oh my God, it's about to rain, and I'd forgotten the clothes. And, small things in everyday life when I think, is Krishna just helping me out? While in the past, I would not. So these things motivate me, that make me think, oh my God, yeah, I have not asked Krishna, and I try not to ask Krishna now, but just praying to Krishna, things happen. I probably still don't know what it means by things happen, and that we will realize Krishna, but this is my way of understanding that. So I think following these things probably just just encourage me that Krishna is near me. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Please accept my humble obeisances. I hope I'm audible. There's a bit of rain here. I'll just try and give the example about how one of the regulative principles, which is intoxication. Before, maybe when we used to have a few drinks, it will waste a lot of our time. While you're drinking, before you go to drink, you're wasting time with friends. The next day after you drink, you have such a hangover, you waste a whole day sleeping. So now there's much more enthusiasm in that. When you're free, you have a sober mind, you can do so much more. So much more time is saved, so much more effort, so much more. There's so much more to do. So it's very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Haribo.
Yeah. If someone has a business, if they can encourage their employees, it doesn't have to be for religion, but just for health, follow these principles, you get better workers, right? Theoretically. Yeah, it's very good. Very good. I was going to say that on a number of occasions, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada was asked disciples twice on the morning walks. So he said, "Why are you all here?" And so one time someone said, "Well, because Krishna is God and Bhagavad Gita is the absolute truth." And he said, "No, that's not why you're here. And so the devotee was very surprised and said, "You're here because you like it. You wouldn't be here if you didn't like it." So, this is the idea, is that we should feel some happiness. We should get something from the Krishna consciousness, and we become inspired that, yes, let me carry on. I feel more peaceful, more happy. I remember another instance. Um, it was a sannyasi giving lecture, and so one brahmachari, he said, "Oh Maharaj, when am I going to get a taste for Krishna consciousness? When am I going to become it? When am I going to like it?" So there was a long pause, and so the sannyasi said, "How long you have been here?" He said, "Oh, 6 years." I hope you like it. Otherwise, why you have been here 6 years? He said, "It is a matter of degree. We may not be like the very rare pure devotees falling on the ground, crying, everything like that. But if we feel more peaceful and we feel more cheerful, that's something, isn't it? We feel more happy inside, and that inspires us, and that we're able to follow the regulative principles." Any other questions or discussion?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, on the example of eating the biscuit and then you want to eat one more, are we not told to control our mind and say, okay, you've had one biscuit, now there's no need to have another biscuit?
Yes.
Are we not
Yes,
told? Yeah.
yes, yeah, generally, whatever will help our uh, practice, whatever will help our chanting, whatever will help our study and our other services, we want to do that. That whatever will please Krishna, whatever will be helpful for serving our guru. And so, yes, that why I don't need to have another one. I had enough food, enough energy to live and do my service. Uh, it is just an indulging of my mind. Absolutely. And the less we can be involved with our material body, so to speak, the better. Um, but I was just making the point that if we do that repeatedly, and then we're laying in bed at night, oh, really wanted another biscuit. I can't wait to have another biscuit. All we're thinking about is, not all of them, we're thinking so much about biscuit. We should have had one, you see. So whatever will help our meditation on Krishna, and that we have to see according to time and circumstance. There's no use, I never take a warm, hot shower, and then we can hardly think about Krishna because we're taking cold showers. It may not be for us. It's very good to take a cold shower, actually, at least once a day. Um, But if it disturbs our meditation on Krishna repeatedly, then that's not for us. That's what I was making. I mean, within the regulative principles, each of us lives, you see. So always we want to lean towards simple living and not luxuriating, because after all, we're not these bodies. I don't need to eat. I'm a spirit soul. But we have this mind, we have this. It's almost like a second person, and we have to respect it. We have to deal with it carefully. It's like a child. You keep a handle on your child, right? You keep them in line, but you also indulge them sometimes. You pamper them. So it's both. Is that all right? If we have any
Got
question, we can consult with a senior devotee or a friend.
got it,
Just like
Prabhuji.
someone who's debating, should I be married? So if month after month, should I, shouldn't I want to, and you're looking at people who are married, oh, I wish I could do that, and it just goes on, then it may be that you should be married. If it's interfering, obviously, with thinking of Krishna. You see?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
And also managers too. It might be said, some mindfulness that, just to keep, well, we have 20 devotees living in the temple and 6 of them are miserable and all they think about are biscuits. That's not good either. Sometimes, I know, uh, you know, just from a practical, speaking about management, you want to have enough devotees in the temple to cover services. And I don't want to, we have to depend on Krishna to provide, making the best choices for all devotees. We don't want to initiate a devotee as a Brahmin just because we need pujari. I need a pujari, so let me initiate this person. Or let me encourage them to take second initiative. Are they qualified? Well, I don't know. That's not good, right? Just for, what do they call it? Expediency. Whatever is truly the best Krishna conscious choice. Any other questions or comments?
I don't think there are any questions or comments, Prabhuji. I think we've exhausted our time as well, and there are no questions or comments. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this session where we enthusiasm and determination got Dhruv Maharaj. Though he asked for broken glass and he got diamond in return, I think, and the credit goes to his enthusiasm and determination. So thank you very much. Prabhuji, I think you said there were 3 things. One was following the regulatory principle and second was association. Was there another
Yes.
thing?
Not as a major chanting Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that's what Dhruv Maharaj did as well. He chanted, and because of that, he got.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, let us all unmute and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in glorification of Dina Sharan Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare
Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai,
His Grace Dina Sharan Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you very much,
All glories to
everybody.
Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so
Everyone
much,
be well.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
And
Prabhuji.
you
Hare
too,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Bye for
Hare
now.
Krishna.